Welcome students, let us discuss next topic, fixed capital and working capital of any enterprise. Fixed capital. Fixed capital represents the long-term investments which needed to acquire fixed assets like land and building, plant and machinery, vehicles, etc., and the benefit of which are expected to be received over a number of years in future. Fixed assets definitely play a role in the good profitability of any business. It is going to affect its management, its profitability, its long-term goodwill, everything. It is going to be affected by the fixed capital of any enterprise. Management of fixed capital, it refers to the allocation of firm's capital to different projects or assets. It will have a long-term implications on the business. Importance of management of fixed capital. It will affect long-term growth. This capital is invested in fixed assets and long-term projects, and therefore it will affect the future prospects of the business. Large amount of fund is also involved. The major portion of the capital may be blocked in these areas, and hence careful planning and detailed analysis is very essential for this segment, because once decision has been taken, it is going to affect the business in a long run. Third one is the high risk. Investment decisions involve huge capital outlay or expenditure which will influence the overall performance of the business. Irreversible decisions. Once the decision to acquire a permanent asset is taken, it becomes very difficult to reverse that decision. It is possible, but with the huge losses. We can change the financial decisions, but it is going to bring the company large amount of losses. For quick revision, we can see that is why financial management is the fixed capital management is important. First point is long-term growth, then a large amount of fund involved, high risk, and irreversible decisions. There are different factors that affect the requirement of fixed capital. Some factors are common with the fixed capital and working capital. Students can very easily note these points, and the points which are in common, they can learn these points. It will reduce their burden of studies. The first factor is nature of business. The nature and characteristics of business determine how much fixed capital is required. In a manufacturing concern, fixed assets requirement will be more as compared to a trading concern. Scale of operation or size of the business. Large scale business generally requires huge investments in fixed capital than a small scale business organization. It is a very simple point and it can be learned very easily. Third point, choice of technique. Highly mechanized and automated industries require large amount of fixed capital, like in case of capital intensive industries. But in case of labor intensive industries, the amount of fund requirement for fixed capital is comparatively less, because more manual labor is required and machine requirement is somehow less. Fourth point, technology upgradation. Assets in certain industries become obsolete sooner. This requires replacement faster, which will demand more fixed capital. For example, computer, mobile phone manufacturing equipments, all these are very quickly obsolete because introduction of the new technology. Fifth point, growth prospects. If company is having higher growth prospects, it will go for more fixed capital. Higher investment in fixed capital is necessary if the organization is in a way of growth and expansion. Sixth point, diversification. When a firm diversifies its activities or operations to new segments, higher fixed capital requirement will arise. As you can see in example, ITC company diverted its activities and business into notebook manufacturing along with their traditional item of cigarettes. They have to invest more money for establishing this new segment. Seventh point, method of acquiring fixed assets. If it is on hire or purchase system or lease system, the less amount of investment is to be made by the company for acquisition of such fixed assets, because they are available on lease or available on rent. Eighth point, collaboration. By collaborating with other firms, the requirement of fixed capital can be reduced. That is, establishment of ATM counters by cooperative banks by collaborating with certain scheduled banks. 8 factors are there for affecting the factors affecting fixed capital. 8 factors are there. First, nature of business, scale of operation, choice of technique, technology upgradation, growth prospects, diversification, method of acquiring fixed assets, and collaboration. All these will affect the amount of fixed capital that a company will require to finance its operations. The next point is working capital. Working capital is the part of capital required for investing in short-term or current assets like inventory of raw material, work in progress, and finished goods, bills receivable, sundry debtors, cash required for day-to-day affairs like salary and wage and rent payment, etc. These all will comprise the working capital of a concern. A business concern must neither have excessive nor inadequate capital in the form of working capital. In both situations are dangerous for companies' smooth operation. Working capital has two different concepts. One, gross working capital, it involves only current assets. But in case of net working capital, the current assets excess in current liabilities are called net working capital. There are several factors that affect the working capital requirement of a concern. The first one is you can, as I had told you earlier also, that you can see some points are there which are similar to the fixed capital factors. Fixed capital factors and working capital factors, both points are having some similar headings. The similar headings can be learned very easily and can be very helpful for the students to prepare. First point is the nature of business. Concerns which do not keep high stock of finished goods and sell on cash basis can manage with less working capital. Like in a manufacturing business, more working capital will be required for stock of different categories, but in case of trading concern, only less amount of cash will be required for working capital financing. Second one is scale of operation. The same point here. Big organization will require big amount of working capital and small organization will require small amount of working capital. The point is as written, they have taken. Generally, big enterprises have to keep higher amount of working capital to attract customers, and small organizations will definitely manage their business in a small amount of working capital. Third point, the business cycle. In boom period, when the economy is at a high point, the production and sales will be larger and hence the huge amount of working capital will be required. But in case of depression, when the business activities in the economy are very down, then it will require lesser working capital. Seasonal factor. Industries that produce and sell seasonal goods will require large amount of working capital because in a particular season they have to acquire huge amount of stock, and to maintain that stock they need money for the whole of the financial year. Then comes production cycle or stages in a production process. Longer the production process or longer the period of the manufacturing, larger is the amount of working capital required. If the amount or the stages of production is less, then less amount of fund will be required. Then comes credit allowed. A liberal credit policy will result in higher amount of debtors and thereby more working capital requirement. If we are allowing more and more credit to our customers, then more funds will be blocked in the form of debtors. Then comes credit availed. If a business gets credit facility from its suppliers for the goods, lesser amount of working capital will be required. If our suppliers are ready to provide goods on credit basis, then we have to invest less fund in stock. Point 8, operating efficiency. If cash, debtors and inventories are efficiently managed and working capital requirement can be reduced. Because debtors are making payment on time, we are collecting our debts on time, so less amount will be blocked in the working capital in form of debtors or in form of stock. Then next point is availability of raw material. If raw materials are available regularly without any storage or shortage, the less working capital is to be invested, because whenever you need, you can go to the market and purchase the raw material for your production cycle. Point 10, growth prospects. If a firm is growing fast, it will require large amount of working capital to meet higher production and sales. And if the business is at a saturating point, or it is not going to grow in future, it will require comparatively less amount of working capital. Next one is level of competition. In case the competition is high, more shall be the stock of finished goods. This will increase the cost of working capital requirement, because in competition we have to attract more customers, and attracting customers requires credit facility to be given to them. Then comes inflation. Huge amount of working capital is to be invested and needed at the time of inflation, when the prices are rising, to maintain a constant volume of production and sales. Let us take example. If I want to maintain 100 units of some raw material at the rate of rupees 10 each, I have to invest 1000 rupee, that is 100 units into rupees 10. But if the prices are going up and this raw material has gone from rupees 10 to 12 in the form of inflation, for maintaining the same 100 unit quantity of raw material, I have to invest more money, like 100 units into rupees 12, rupees 1200. Means I am investing more money, but I have to maintain only, for maintaining only 100 unit of quantity. At a glance, we can see factors affecting working capital requirement: nature of business, scale of operation, business cycle, seasonal factors, production cycle, credit allowed, credit availed, operating efficiency, availability of raw material, growth prospects, and level of competition, inflation. All these 12 points have bearing an effect on the amount of working capital that a concern will require to operate its business. That's all we have in the class. Thank you, class. We shall be taking up new chapters, new topics in the upcoming videos. Thank you.